Today I built one of my favorite things in the world, a snowman, but this time I made him out of cake. To start making this cake, I made 6 round cakes in round pans like this. I got these from a store called Flower Confections in Toronto. I'll leave the link in the description below. I use an 8-inch pan for the bottom, a 6-inch pan for the middle, and a 5-inch pan for the top. This is really handy when you want to make round cakes. It's so much easier than carving, but you could also make this cake by carving your cake, so don't worry if you don't have them. I started by baking all 6 chocolate cakes in round pans and making chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream to go with it. If you want to make this even better, you should use vanilla cake with vanilla icing so that the cake doesn't show through the buttercream, especially since this cake will not be receiving any fondant. Level your cakes to start. You can do this right out of the pan too. There is usually a little lip at the edge, so just follow that all the way around for a perfect half circle. For all of these cakes, I also cut off a little bit at the top and the bottom so that the cakes will be able to sit on top of each other. Make sure you leave the top of the 5-inch cake round as round because that will be the top of his head. For the 8-inch bottom cakes, I also cut these cakes in half because otherwise there'd be too much cake without any frosting. For the 5 and 6-inch cakes, I left them whole. Cover these cakes in simple syrup to hold in the moisture while you're decorating. Fill your cakes with chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream, smoothing out the sides as you go. Put your cake in the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes to let the buttercream set up a bit. Then give your cakes a crumb coat and put it back in the fridge. I know I say I love a lot of things, but this time I'm serious. I love the snow. I don't love the cold, but I do love the snow, and I love anything to do with it, whether it's tobogganing or skiing or skating or building a snowman or having a snowball fight. I even love shoveling. I decided to make little holes where the eyes, nose, mouth, and buttons will be going. I used my teaspoon measuring spoons and made little indents on where the features will go. I then used my knife to cut out the holes a little bit deeper. Once the holes are deep enough, give the cakes another coat of icing in the holes and all around the cake. You don't have to worry about the cakes being too perfect here. It's supposed to be snow, which are never perfect spheres. And these cakes will be covered in sprinkles anyway. Put them back in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Before giving it a final coat, I stacked my cakes up. You want to be really careful with this. Make sure you put enough support in each layer so the cake will not cave into each other. Because this is a round cake, I made sure to put a dowel right down the center of the bottom tier along with 4 bubble tea straws cut to the height of the cake so that your cake is not rolling right off. Add a little bit of icing to the top of the cake to stick to. I then added the second tier right over the long dowel. There was already a hole at the bottom of my board. If you don't have one, make sure to make one before starting. The dowel should come up right through the body in the center with a little bit of extra dowel left. Then repeat this for the top tier. I then iced my cake again, trying to cover up any chocolate cake peeking through. I used white clear sugar crystals to cover my entire snowman to make it look more like snow. You need to do this on freshly put icing. Warning, this makes a ton of mess. If you have a big enough pan to put under the cake, do that so that it catches all the sprinkles. I didn't have one, so the cleanup was a ton of fun. Cover your whole cake in sprinkles and then put it back in the fridge to make your cake toppers while you wait. Last year there was such a beautiful day outside where it was snowing and it was so warm outside that I put on my snowsuit and I went to my backyard and I built a snowman for 3 hours, and it was 3 hours of bliss. And actually it looked a lot like this guy. To make the nose, I used orange fondant and rolled out the top a little bit to make it look more like a carrot. Check the size of the bottom of your carrot with your measuring spoons so that it matches the hole you made on the cake. Then take a stick or a toothpick and stick it right through the carrot, leaving some extra stick that you can use to put through the cake later. I used my mini spatula to make little lines in the carrot to make it look more realistic. Then put the nose aside to dry. To make the eyes, I used black fondant and my measuring spoons to help make them even. I put a little bit of icing sugar into my measuring spoons so that they won't get stuck. I cut off the tops with a knife to make them lay flat. I made my mouth slightly smaller, so for that one I used my smaller measuring spoon. Stick a toothpick into each black feature. With some red fondant, I rolled it into a ball and took some tiny scissors and cut little snips all around it to make it look more like a pom-pom for his hat. Put a toothpick in this and let it dry. To make the hands, I used 2 barbecue sticks and some brown fondant to make the arms. I rolled out some brown fondant and wrapped it around the stick and stuck it with some piping gel and cut off the extras. I then made some mittens for my snowman from red fondant. I used this non-stick mat and rolled it over the mittens to add a little bit of knitting texture. I then added a small green border at the bottom. Let these dry overnight if possible so that the arms hold its shape. I then just put on all of the features. I even dressed up in my onesie for the occasion. And of course, I love Olaf and I love Frozen, obviously. For the hat, I cut out a circle out of green fondant and again used my non-stick mat to make the texture. I then put the circle right on top of his head. This might be a little bit challenging with all the sparkles, but just hold it down as best as you can. Where the circle gathers at the back, use a knife or a pair of scissors to cut it off. I made a little border out of red fondant and then gave it a texture using a lines mold. I made a scarf in green fondant using the same method. Before putting the arms on, I cut off a little bit of the brown fondant on the part that will be going into the cake to make it a little bit easier. Then put the sticks in symmetrically. And that's it, folks. I can't wait to make a real snowman out of snow very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this cake and you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet watched my last week's video, click here to watch it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel right over here. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a great holiday. Bye!